Hello my beautiful buds, welcome back to my channel Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you like to talk about plants, you're in the right place. And today I'm in Florida. I've actually been here this whole week visiting my family because if you don't know, I was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And though I now reside in Ohio, I still try to make it down here at least like every other year to visit my family and also enjoy where I grew up. But today specifically, I wanted to give you a little tour of my mother's plants because I'm currently staying in my mom's home. And she's always liked houseplants, but she sort of like stopped keeping them with the exception of maybe the odd pothos here and there or an orchid here and there. But once I started getting into houseplants, my mom also was like, okay, maybe I can keep a few too. So she has a nice little collection that she's been nurturing. And then another thing that I want to do today is take you to a plant store. And it's actually, I think it's my mom's favorite plant store. It's the one that she loves to go to. And I've been there once, but it was like 4 years ago. So I'm excited to go back and kind of look through it with you guys. I don't know for sure if I'm going to buy any plants, but maybe I'll buy a few. I don't know. We'll see what they have. We did drive down here and we are leaving this evening actually, which I'm really sad about. But that does mean that theoretically I could get quite a few plants. Like I'm not really limited by luggage space like I was the last time, which is dangerous. But okay, as for my mom's collection, right now I'm out on her screened in porch patio area in the backyard. And this is where she keeps most of her plants. And then she also has some plants out front, which I will also show you. But I'm pretty sure just about all of her house plants are outside, if not all of them. I think she might have a couple of orchids inside by the window. So yeah, let's do it. Oh, also before I get started, I do want to provide the caveat. My mom would want to let you know that these plants are like not all in the condition that she would want them to be. She, like probably all of us, has a long list of plant chores and like things that she wants to do. She wants to clean up her plants, she wants to repot them, but she's also very busy and doesn't always have the time or energy to keep up with everything all of the time, which I mean, again, I think that's pretty relatable. I experienced that myself. And even though she does have the benefit of living in Florida, so like her plants just do well because they're in perfect conditions, I think that this is a fairly like relatable and realistic plant collection. But okay, the first plant in this corner, okay, it's a golden pothos. And my mom absolutely loves this plant because for years and years and years, her neighbor had golden pothos just growing in her yard. And of course, the way that golden pothos is in South Florida, it's a little bit invasive. So it did make its way into my mom's yard a long time ago and like grew all over our shed. And I'm telling you, this is like 20 years ago that this happened. But as the iguana population started increasing, which ironically they're also invasive, I think, they started taking over and eating many of the plants in the yard, which included golden pothos. Like they were just straight up eating the pothos, which is a little bit shocking to me because as an aroid, I'm pretty sure they like have those toxins that like hurt your mouth when you eat them. But I guess that didn't really stop these iguanas. So when that started happening, my mom took like 5 cuttings of the golden pothos out there because she was like, well, I don't want to lose this forever because this plant has been growing in this yard for such a long time. So she took 5 little cuttings and stuck them in the soil, and that was maybe, I don't know, a couple years ago. And look at it now. Wow, it's truly a beautiful specimen and so big, and it just grows and grows and grows. And this one is definitely one of my mom's favorites, and it's just a classic plant in general. Over in this corner she has another pothos, but it's just not doing quite as well. I think my suspicion is that in this corner it just gets waterlogged because when it rains it's like directly by the screen and maybe it just gets in there. I don't know. Down here is another pothos, but this one is a pearls and jade. And I think, I can't remember, I think she may have gotten this from my collection and brought it home. Like it was a really tiny cutting and it has since grown into this over the course of a year, which honestly I feel like pearls and jade pothos is a really slow grower anyway, so that's kind of par for the course. But I think it's really cute and it has some really cute leaves. This is an orchid, just like a classic phalaenopsis, but it's not currently flowering. But it looks like these roots right here are pretty fresh, which is very satisfying to see. And okay, this one's familiar. This right here is a Ficus elastica taneki, and I actually got this from my mom 2 years ago, and I even made a video about it. I went to the store, got a couple plants from my mom, repotted them, etc. And oh my gosh, it has grown so much, it's ridiculous. Like I've had my Ficus elastica taneki for, I don't know, 4 years now, and it has maybe put off 2 or 3, maybe 4 leaves total in that time period in like really good light, and even putting it outside over the summer. This my mom has had for 2 years, and it started out being pretty small, and now it's like already like it's probably put off like 10 leaves at least. I don't know, it's just my ficus is so slow growing up in Ohio, but out here it's just so happy. And what's even more amazing, like look at that, it recently started like a new shoot at the bottom. Isn't that amazing? But also like Florida, I feel like these things just happen when you live in Florida, barely even trying. The plants just do the thing that you want them to do. Now obviously the downside of living outside is that the leaves do get really dirty really fast. They get burned sometimes, and there are just more imperfections in general in the leaves, but that's just kind of what's going to happen when you have a plant outside. Even if you are really insistent on like cleaning the leaves every single day, it's just gonna get a lot of dirt and dust. But still, I think it's worth it for that and all this growth. I'm honestly so impressed with how beautiful that is. Down here is some sort of Dieffenbachia, and I am not well versed in like the different kinds of Dieffenbachia, so that's all I really have to say about that. And this is a Sansevieria. This is like the most classic snake plant you can get. I believe it's like Sansevieria laurentii. And yes, I know, long ago the genus changed to Dracaena, but I still am not used to that. But honestly, there's so much new growth here. I will say, I notice snake plants in the landscaping of Florida all the time. They grow these like they grow bushes in the Midwest. Here is another Dieffenbachia, and it has a lot of new growth right here. There's something so satisfying about new growth every single time. And I'm personally not like the biggest fan of Dieffenbachia, and that's mainly because I have cats and I don't want them to take any nibble out of it. I just don't want to risk that because I feel like this one's particularly poisonous. But I could appreciate it in other people's collections, like my mom. Okay, this one over here I'm so excited about. First of all, look at how big these leaves are. Are you kidding me? That's like substantially bigger than my hand. Oh my gosh, these leaves are huge and they're beautiful. It does probably need to be repotted. But this is a Begonia maculata whitei, and this one is special because my mom got this plant from me. So actually, this is coming full circle because I got my original Begonia maculata whitei maybe 4 years ago from Tropic Plants, which is the plant store that I'm about to show you next. We're gonna go plant shopping there together, but I originally got my Begonia maculata whitei from there. I brought it home. It grew really, really well for me. I took tons of cuttings. I think maybe a year ago, I sent my mom home with like a baby Begonia maculata whitei plant that I had propagated from my own plant, which I got from Florida originally. And it was so tiny. It was so tiny. And in the last year, it has grown to be this absolutely gorgeous specimen. I mean, it obviously thrives here. It loves it in this environment, in the covered patio. Like, oh my goodness. This looks incredible. I am loving it. And the funny part is, my Begonia maculata whitei is doing horrible, like absolutely horrible. So I think I'm going to take a cutting off my mom's plant, which originally came from me. So really, like, this is the same plant essentially. But I'm going to take a cutting and bring it home with me so that I can, I guess, redo my Begonia maculata whitei. But it makes me so happy to not have to buy a whole new one. This is really the same plant. I mean, it's propagated off of my mother plant, but like it's all the same plant is the way that I view it. And so it's kind of nice and it's poetic. It works. So I'm very, very glad that it's doing so well in my mom's care because that means that I get to take a piece of it home. All right, over here is another Phalaenopsis orchid, and this one is flowering. My mom honestly is like the orchid whisperer. When I was growing up, she didn't really have a whole lot of houseplants, but she did have quite a few orchids. And you know, I feel like people will sometimes buy orchids like a bouquet of flowers. They get it, and then once the flowers fall off, they just kind of toss it. But not so with my mother. My mother has always been a person that just has held on to orchids, and they always grow really well for her. Obviously part of that is her being in Florida, but she also just has a way with them, I think. They always flower for her again and grow really well, honestly. Okay, now this one's an interesting one. It is some sort of syngonium, I believe. But look at how mature these leaves are. I mean, have you ever seen a syngonium with leaves this mature? Probably not, but this is what they look like when they, but look, see? These are some like more juvenile leaves. And even this you can kind of see. But it like splits off eventually when it matures a lot. Isn't that bizarre? I was so awestruck when I first realized that this happens to Syngonium when they mature. But like, yeah, see even this like leaf. This kind of looks a little bit more like a regular Syngonium. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Crazy, absolutely crazy. But the story behind this plant is that I think my mom moved into this house with Syngonium planted like around the trees. Like that tree over there, I think, was one of them. It was just planted around the base, like the previous owner had done that. And then she had Syngonium climbing up her tree and maturing to an insane amount, like to this level. And again, with the iguanas came out and started eating up, chowing down on her Syngonium. So she just like took it out of the ground and put it in a pot. And it's been here for a couple of years and it's doing fine. Obviously some of it has died off, so she'll need to go through and maybe trim some of these dead bits away. But a lot of it, like big chunks of it right here, are doing fine. I mean, look at that. Isn't that so cool? This right here, I never know how to pronounce it. I think it's a kalanchoe or a kalanchoe of some sort. But this came from my sister's plant. And my mom recently just took some cuttings of it, so it's still itty bitty and hasn't grown a whole lot yet. But the one that my sister has is actually quite massive. Over here is some bromeliads, which she also took from her yard. You might be noticing a trend here. A lot of these plants she took in because the iguanas were eating them, or she just decided that she also wanted them in her patio. But again, I don't know much about bromeliads, so like I don't know what specific bromeliad this is, or if it is a specific bromeliad. But they do have a pretty cool flower that blooms sometimes. There's actually a bunch of bromeliads back there by that tree. Do you see it? I grew up with them just all over the base of that tree. Okay, this is another plant that came from me, actually. And it's an Alocasia frydek. And wow, just look at it. Oh my goodness. Frankly, again, like her Alocasia frydek is looking nicer than mine. My Alocasia frydek is very, like, the petioles are super long and the leaves are decently large. These leaves are like a little bit smaller, but she just has so many more leaves and the variegation looks way nicer on her Alocasia frydek. But it's honestly doing great out here in the patio, even though, you know, naturally some of the leaves do have some imperfections from being outside. And I hope that these don't have like spider mites or something, just because I know that Alocasia are prone to pests. I don't know, I'll have to look over her plants for her before I leave, just to make sure. But honestly, it's doing great. It's beautiful. I'm just giving you a closer look really fast because I just appreciate a variegated plant. Okay, over here are plants that my mom knows way more about than I do. These two are milkweeds because my mom, one of her hobbies is, I guess, growing butterflies. So she'll coax a butterfly in her patio, let it lay eggs on the milkweed or on any of the plants that she has, and then they hatch and the caterpillars chow down, and she watches the whole process of the caterpillars growing and then getting in their chrysalis and then becoming a butterfly. Like, it's super cool because she gets to witness that all the time in her patio. I don't think that she has any like caterpillars right now, but the milkweed is right here, and I believe the monarch butterfly likes milkweed plants, like the caterpillars, that's like all they'll eat. But the fun part about the milkweed is that it's actually closely related to Hoyas, so you can actually tell in the flowers here, the blooms. Look, doesn't that look so similar to Hoya blooms? It's because they're really similar. I think they're in the same family or something. I mean, don't quote me on the specifics, but yeah, so fun. And it's called milkweed because of the sap. Like, its sap is really white and sticky, which again is similar to Hoya. So that's kind of fun. Over here, these are Mexican petunias, which my mom got because apparently iguanas don't like them. And so she was like, oh, well, maybe I'll get some because, you know, she's always worried about the iguanas eating them. But unfortunately, they broke in to her patio somehow and chowed on the Mexican petunias. So I guess they do eat Mexican petunias after all. Or again, she has crazy iguanas in her yard. I don't know. Okay, over here is a massive Tradescantia zebrina, and it used to be growing over here in this corner and actually like kind of climbing up the wall a little bit, which was super cool. I grew up just seeing this growing all over my yard. But again, here's a trend. The iguana started eating it. Unbelievable. So my mom ended up moving the whole planter in here, and it's still really pretty and overflowing. And yeah, honestly, thriving so much. It's pretty wild how incredible this thing grows. Like, it's not scraggly like they are in my house when I try to grow Tradescantia. Like, the growth is all nice and close together and thick and lush and beautiful. Then over here, I forgot what this is called. My mom told me, but I forgot. Oh wait, maybe it's a lime, like a wild lime. I don't know. It's some sort of little tree. And then this is a peace lily. Just a regular run-of-the-mill peace lily. And this, it's a mixture of like regular schmegular heartleaf philodendron and philodendron Brazil. But she has it like kind of going up this trellis. And the leaves are, of course, just huge and beautiful. I mean, they're thriving and they love it here. And I don't even think, like, if you can tell in the bottom there, like, it's not even completely properly potted in. Like, there's some exposed roots. And it still looks like this. Like, it's just, I think my mom just kind of stuck it in there, and it's doing great. So, welcome to Florida. And I think this is a Kentia palm. It's some sort of palm. I don't know specifically what kind, but it looks really cute, actually. Look at that. Those leaves are so adorable. And this is a cute little succulent arrangement that my mom very recently got for this table here because she thought it was cute. So I don't know the specific plants. I mean, that's like an echeveria. I forget what these are called. And there's some sort of a cactus in there. So you'll have to forgive me because I'm not as well versed in my different succulents species, but it's a really cute little arrangement that she got. Now we're at my mom's front yard. This is an Aglaonema silver bay that is frankly thriving. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. It has so much new growth going on. Oh my gosh. Down here is my mom's spider plant, which is one of her favorites. It's super cute. This is her staghorn fern. And I actually got a question from somebody. So 2 years ago, I made a video where I like tried to mount a staghorn fern onto my mom's tree, and someone was wanting an update. And unfortunately, it is no longer on the tree. It's just in this pot here, and it's doing fine. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's doing fine. But what happened was that iguanas kept on knocking it down from the tree because, I don't know, they would climb up and down the tree and they would just knock it down. Again, okay, here's a trend. Iguanas, massive nuisance here. They're super cool. I love them, but also they're annoying. So since the iguanas kept on knocking it down, and I think a storm also knocked it down, my mom just kind of gave up and was like, let's just put it in a pot. And you know, I can't blame her. Okay, this is another fun one. I also got this monstera from my mom 2 years ago, and it was way smaller than this before, but look at, it's truly massive now. Like, what the heck? It's thriving, also way bigger than my monstera. The growth is so like nice and together. And this is a pretty sunny spot back here, but it doesn't seem to mind. I mean, some of the leaves you can tell are like a little bit, like not quite scorched, but like, you know, a little bit like, okay, that's a lot of sun. But still, for the most part, it's looking really, really beautiful. And it's like way better than anything that I could grow in my own house, to be honest. Down here, I think this is another type of kalanchoe, I think. But don't quote me on that. I do think it's really cute though. Here, that same kind is right here. It's actually so cute. I love like the bluish purplish hues to it. Over here, we've got just a couple of massive air plants casually sitting in a wagon. This is another little succulent arrangement that my mom got. She loves her succulent arrangements. And I mean, I can't blame her. They're really, really cute. And especially if you live in Florida where they can actually kind of last a pretty long time looking good. I mean, I would do it too. Down here is some sort of euphorbia, but forgive me, I don't know what kind specifically, nor does my mother. But I actually love, it's so cute. It looks like it has like these little ears, like the little leaves that pop up around it. It's so cute. Down here is another sprawling succulent, another one of those like bluish succulents. Oh, there's a little lizard there, which is super cute. It's a baby. Aw. Oh, here's another lizard. Oh my gosh. Look at him. He's so funny. That's like a big one. Oh, and there's another one. I truly miss the lizards here. Not gonna lie. Oh, here's another one. I used to catch them all the time when I was a kid. That's just some joy lore dropped for you. Oh, it was one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so those are all of the like plants of interest. in my mom's yard. I mean, she has like palm trees and stuff, but like more like houseplants and succulents. That's all of them. So yeah, in about an hour, I'm going to go plant shopping, and I guess we'll find out what's there. Tropic Plants had such a great selection and so much variety. I will say they did not have labels and prices for everything, so I will mention it when I can, but that information was not consistently available. I was delighted to see a booby cactus. It was quite a large one for $125, which is a little bit pricey, but it was in a really nice setup. They also just had all sorts of beautiful succulent arrangements. I think I'd love to get back into succulents one of these days and make a nice arrangement like this. They had so many string of pearls and string of dolphins for $15, and all of these head pots with the perfect plants to go in them for $40 or $45. And they were mainly like succulents and rhipsalis and that sort of thing. I also loved this plant here, but I had no idea what it was, and I've tried looking for it, but I can't figure out what it was. So if you know, let me know. This was a mother of thousands, and I have not seen one of these in ages, so honestly, it was a huge throwback because I had one of these in college, and I loved it so much. They also had monkey tail cactus, and they were $35 and a pretty decent size, so I thought that that was a good deal, and I loved monkey tail cactus. I've always wanted one. Also, so many random jungle cacti and schlumberga and holiday cactus, like just stuff like that, just everywhere. And a lot of them had really nice sun's dressing too. These were the first Hoya that I came across, and I'm pretty sure, not all of them were labeled, but I'm pretty sure most of them were $15 for these little pots. So that was Hoya pachyclata and Hoya, what is it, Mickey or Kiki MB 1250? I don't know. I'm not familiar with a lot of these Hoya as much, although this is a Hoya Fichii. And this is a Hoya Wayetii, which I can also only assume is maybe $15 to $20 based on the plants that were around it. And oh my goodness, they had probably the biggest selection of air plants that I have ever seen in my entire life. Most of them seemed to be between $4 and $7 for like the smaller ones. And oh my gosh, I love it when they make a little UFO out of the air plant. I think it's just so clever, the different things that you can do with air plants and mounting them. Although some of the bigger air plants were more expensive. Like this one here was $50, and these Tillandsia xerographicas were $25 for, you know, these massive plants. Another really cool thing about Tropic Plants is that they had a huge selection of orchids. And frankly, I am not that much of an orchid girly, so I really don't know that much about them. But if you are an orchid person, I would highly recommend going here. There were all sorts of different prices, and not all of them were labeled, so I didn't fully understand what I was looking at a lot of the time. But some of them were $35, some of them were $55. I mean, there was a big variety. But they all seemed like really high quality plants. And some of them were even blooming, and honestly, so many gorgeous flowers. I tried to capture some of the labels, but again, I did not fully understand what I was looking at either. I'm just so ignorant when it comes to orchids. I will say I am familiar with the vanilla orchid, and this one was crawling up this trellis. It was huge for $75. I loved the orange flowers on this one. Honestly, I highly considered taking this one home with me, but spoiler alert, I did not. We did eventually venture into territory that I'm a little bit more familiar with. So they had Anthurium veitchii for $35. I was also very tempted by this, but I just know that they get so big and I just don't know that I have the space in my collection for it. But they had a couple of other fun Anthurium like the Superbum. They also had really nice looking philodendron Florida ghosts for $25, really nice looking painted ladies and gloriosum also for $25. I was a little bit surprised to see that this pink princess was $50, but I guess it had really nice variegation at the same time, so I don't know. I guess it makes sense. They also had a few more common plants like peperomias. The watermelon peperomia was a huge throwback to see. Really nice looking Cebu blue pothos for $15, and just some other more classic plants like Syndapsis pictus exotica and Philodendron Brazil, you know, just stuff that you find in most people's collections. Also a few staghorn ferns, but I didn't notice any that were beyond the typical staghorn species that you find, which is Platycerium bifurcatum, but I do know that there are like a whole bunch of different kinds out there. Even though, yeah, they did have a lot of different kinds that were mounted. So maybe among one of them, there was a different one, but I just didn't know the look of it because I didn't see any labels. Okay, this Monstera Peru was massive and beautiful. I always love seeing Maranta Silver Band out in the wild. This one was $15. And a gorgeous Tenanthe Burley Marxii. I want to get mine looking like this one again because it's looking a little bit rough. There's also Tenanthe, I think, Liberciana, which is another plant that I've considered getting in the past, but I can't have every plant. These Philodendron Ring of Fires were nice too. And oh my gosh, this pink princess was massive. Massive, absolutely massive. It didn't have a ton of variegation on it necessarily, but the leaves were huge. And there were a few leaves that had like little bits of pink on them. This leaf in particular was like a half moon. Oh, gorgeous. They also had a really nice looking Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and they had a lot of fenestrations in the leaves, even though the leaves weren't particularly huge. Hello? 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 They had a whole section dedicated to bonsai trees, and I'm gonna be the first to admit I know hardly anything about bonsai trees, so I'm not gonna like speak into that a whole lot. But I will say, I mean, these things are so pricey and they've been grown and pruned with so much dedication for such a long time. So I understand why, but wow. There was one tree that was huge, I mean, small, but huge by bonsai standards, that was $4,000. And I wish I knew how long they've been growing this thing, but for that price, I'm sure it's been forever, absolutely forever. But it was beautiful, and I wonder, I'm so curious to know if someone will actually come by and purchase this thing one day. I would be so terrified to drop $4,000 on a plant though. That's unreal. I went back to look at the Hoya because I didn't get a chance to look at all of them before. I got excited and sidetracked, I think, by the air plants. But they had some nice hanging baskets that were each, I think, $35. So they had Hoya Rangsan, which I already own, but this one looked really nice. A lot of these plants were blooming or had peduncles. There were several Hoya Rebecca that had the most gorgeous sun dressing, and I was honestly enthralled and kept coming back to this one. They just look so good. I've always wanted Hoya Rebecca. And the blooms were adorable. They also had a Hoya Carnosa with several blooms, and I actually got to smell one for the first time because, believe it or not, none of my Carnosa varieties have ever bloomed for me, so I got to smell it. And I can confirm it does in fact smell exactly like a Tootsie Roll. Like, exactly. So yeah, that was beautiful and fun to look at. Oh, and the last thing that caught my eye before I had to go was this gorgeous orchid. Oh my gosh, look at that bloom. It's so unique and so fun. I did get a good look at the tag. Like a Miltassia Royal Robe orchid, I think. And yeah, it looks beautiful. I did Google it because I was curious about it, and it looks like it is an orchid hybrid that originated by the Everglades, which is so cool because, you know, obviously I'm in Florida and right over by the Everglades, so it's like this is where this plant is actually from. That's so cool. Hello, as you can see, I have returned to my own home. It was a very long drive back, but I loved being back in Florida, loved visiting my family, and now I'm just kind of trying to get back into the regular rhythms of life. But before I wrap up this video, I did want to show you the two plants that I bought from Tropic Plants, the plant store that I visited while I was in Florida, as well as the two plants that I chopped and kind of took propagations out of my mom's collection. So first, I got this variegated Opuntia. It was $25, which I thought was a really good deal for such a large specimen. I've been wanting one of these pretty much ever since I bought like my original prickly pear cactus, which I love. And this one, I mean, it's the same thing, but it's just variegated, as you can see. It's just so fun and cool. And this is honestly one of my favorite cacti out there. You know, I really was tempted. Like, I was kind of going between this and the monkey tail cactus, which they also had. And I love monkey tail cacti, and I've wanted one for a really long time, but I was not feeling very enthusiastic about the notion of trying to travel with one back home because they have a lot of needles. That's very intimidating. So the thought of having to like pack that up and like travel with it in the car, and I'd probably have it hanging up in the car, and I have my kids in the car, it seemed like too much of a hassle. Whereas the prickly pear cactus, it technically has some needles here and there, but not nearly as many. At least this one specifically does not really have a whole lot on it to speak of, and it just seemed a lot easier to travel with. So one of these days I will get my hands on a monkey tail cactus, but perhaps not when I'm traveling from Florida to home. The other plant that I got will come as no surprise to you, probably based on the footage. I got the Hoya Rebecca, and it is so cute. Oh my goodness. This is a really full and beautiful Hoya. It was $35, and it is blooming already. It has lots of peduncles, but at least now that I'm looking at it, it was blooming. But they have since fallen off. I mean, obviously we did some traveling. And yeah, this plant is living outside. I have brought a bunch of plants outside this summer. And the variegated Opuntia is also outside. I'm actually pretty happy with my little setup. It's very cute with the lights and stuff. But anyway, speaking more specifically about the Hoya Rebecca, first of all, my mom's name is Rebecca. And so it just felt right to get the Hoya Rebecca because it's like I was visiting my mom and this was a really beautiful specimen and it's one that I've been interested in for a long time. So it's like it was just a perfect little plant to get, kind of in remembrance of being with my mom. I don't know if that makes sense. I also love the sun dressing, especially towards the bottom leaves here. I do want to give you a moment to kind of get a closer look. And also, my sister and my mom that were with me really wanted this plant too. So I just took cuttings and I shared it with them before I left. So that's really fun that all three of us have parts of the same plant. Okay, and then as for the plants that I got from my mom's collection, you already knew this was gonna happen, but I got a cutting of her Begonia Immaculata Whitey Eye that was technically originally mine. But look at that. Oh my goodness, these leaves are big and they're beautiful. I just have it in water because I think that's gonna be the easiest way to propagate it, and hopefully this one kind of thrives for me once more, and I have like another beautiful specimen of Begonia Immaculata Whitey Eye in my collection. And then this right here is Golden Pothos. I took some cuttings that are particularly variegated, so I'm hoping that that variegation continues with the rest of the plant once I pot it up. And it is already rooting for me as expected. You gotta love pothos with how quickly it roots. It's so good. It's such a good plant to share. It'll be kind of fun to have a golden pothos again because I had multiple golden pothos when I first started collecting plants, but I haven't had one for a while because I gave one away to a friend, and the other one I gave to my husband to keep in his office, so that one's been growing and doing well in his office, but I don't really view it as like my plant anymore. But I'm excited and looking forward to having a golden pothos that is sentimental and has a little bit more value attached to it than just, oh, it's a cute pothos. Because the mother plant was in my backyard when I was a kid, and I remember like going out into my backyard and daydreaming and catching lizards and I don't know, just doing the things that kids do. And I would see this pothos, this specific pothos, growing in my backyard. And yeah, as I already mentioned, my mom kind of took it and potted it up in her patio so that the iguanas wouldn't destroy the entire thing. And now I have cuttings of that same plant. So that's really, really special to me because this is a symbol like of my childhood, I guess, and a piece of my backyard. And my mom might continue to live in that house for many years to come, but she's also talked about moving. So every single time that I visit, I don't know if it's going to be the last time that I get to visit my childhood home. So it's really special to me to have a piece of it right here. But okay, those are all the plants that I brought up from Florida. I really hope that they all do well. And my collection, honestly, it's quite hot up here in Ohio, so I suspect that they will transition just fine. And then hopefully come fall, by that point, they'll be more acclimated to my environment anyways. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to leave a like or comment or subscribe. All those things are very helpful for this channel and for this little houseplant community that we're building together. If you made it to the end of this video, drop down an alligator emoji because, you know, Florida, and let me know if there is a plant that reminds you of your childhood home. It doesn't have to be like a tropical plant or a house plant or anything like that, but say you grew up in the desert and there's like a specific cactus that you saw all the time, or maybe you grew up in the woods and there was a specific kind of tree that grew everywhere, or like there was ivy everywhere in your neighborhood. I don't know, those are just some examples, but do let me know. I'm really curious. For me, pothos is definitely a big one, as are like snake plants and yeah, most of the typical tropical plants. But anyways, I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye!